We lost. Okay, we lost even in California. We lost. It was the Supreme Court that changed it. We lost. People voted against us. So when Ron's saying we have the numbers for all kinds of stuff, we don't have the numbers for some things, especially not that. You know?
No.
I mean, that was done by the Supreme Court, just like Bush.
Because
the
Supreme
Court.
Demanded
we got Bush from the
it.
Supreme Court, you know? It's not the people. The people don't have the voice. And just like you're saying, I'm saying the women don't have the voice. All the people at the bottom don't have the voice. We're the ones who scream for it. But we get also the backlash for it. So we have to be careful. You guys are men, whatever it is. Even still, a black man got voted in before a woman, which is fine because, you know, some people don't like her or whatever. But that's how it was with the vote, too. Black men got to vote before women. So you have to have the history and the new stuff, too, put together, you know. And, like, you know, nobody knows queer history. Come on. Even our queer people don't know queer history. So, I mean, I love that you're saying that you, like, know it or whatever. But let's have a real conversation. You know what I'm saying?
I honestly
no, I
don't.
I'm sorry I used gay marriage as an example. That was wrong of me. I apologize. I'm sorry that was the example I used. Because we could have picked anything. That just happened to be what I picked.
And the hits just keep on coming.
That's good.
So as we have
We want to have real conversation now. Yes.
Or should we just talk about how real conversation would be a great thing to have?
That's beautiful because that's what no one can do, David. But isn't it true? That's what no one can do. That's when people cannot sit
what is
at
what
the
no
table.
one can do?
Nobody can sit at the table and stay there long enough to communicate to fix something that's good for everyone. Everybody has their ego in it or their own party's, honor or whatever the fuck it is, and nobody thinks about the children or, like, you know, all the things that are important in this country and all the people that were here first or got dragged over here from another country.
All right, but by virtue of what you were just saying about how us being straight males, we can't speak to the gay issue. As a Latina, Italian, white guy, Jewish,
You can speak
white
to the
guy,
gay issue.
how can like any of us speak to the whole black issue? You know, that's the fault that I'm seeing in your previous argument. You know, where you're saying, well, it's, you know, the straight people didn't do anything. You know, they did in conjunction with the gay people.
Okay,
you know,
David. Some, yes. I like you. And there's some people that have, yeah.
Well,
but not everybody.
That's not the point.
The votes were not there. We got it through the Supreme Court. We got it through the legislation, through the lawsuits. And we got it from protesting in the streets and also from a spiritual movement of a church called the MCC Church.
Wait, now this spiritual movement and this protesting in the streets, how is that not the movement making things happen?
Oh, it's beautiful. That's what
So
started it
then,
all.
all right. So
Drag
then,
queens
how is
throwing
Ron?
shit, yeah.
So how is Ron wrong?
I wasn't saying Ron was wrong. I said he interrupted me.
You're saying I shouldn't say it?
No, I said he interrupted me, and that anytime anybody talks to me, if they know I'm gay, they start with you're gay, or they start with I'm a woman if they're a man, or they're straight. That's all I'm saying. Thanks very much. I'll be here all week.
No, I don't understand the point.
I know most men don't. I'm just saying.
Because
and you know, I give you props, way high props. So, you know, he's like, well, it was nice knowing you guys. I know I'll never be back to let's be treasonable because we're all fighting.
No,
I know, yeah.
It's, you know, I mean, my point, though, is that if we can't have the conversation, if someone is trying to let someone speak and explain what's going on, but they would rather spend the time complaining about not being able to speak and say what they're trying to say, but then they never actually say what they're allegedly trying to say, that does not move the conversation forward.
Well, now you're just taking it longer. I'm just saying, you know, that people have a hard time communicating. If we had it, when you get all the people... Oh, I love when the men are all laughing with each other at me right now. Except for Ron. Ron is sitting quietly.
I'm just sitting here. I thought it was just a good example, and I'm sorry that it set you off. That was totally not my intention.
No. I'm just saying that there's ways to bridge the conversation of people that are different, are really different, and having it come straight from men or straight men all the time, or white men all the time, and not letting a person, like women are used to not interrupting. We're used to waiting and listening. That's what it.
That has not been my experience on this show.
Okay. Well, because
not just this episode. I mean, doing this show.
Yeah, because you usually pick what I love women comedians because they are out there and they are so tough talking about these issues that no one wants to talk about. And I'm talking about straight female comics. I got to give them props. The lesbian comics, you don't see them very often except for gay clubs, and same with the men. These are things that usually leave straight men dumbfounded because they don't see any of us either.
I used to do a gay bookstore right next to the rave. Me and Mike Muratori, and it used to be packed. They would move the stuff out, and then they would put up a stage. They played the best classical in town too. And Mike and I would go over there, and we would have a blast because we didn't discriminate. We needed stage time, so we went everywhere. I drove, and Mike Muratori, if you know Mike.
I do know.
Mike.
So you guys wanted stage time, so you got it at the gay bar,
we
right?
would go anywhere.
Well, of course you'll go anywhere for stage time.
Yeah,
That's still straight men getting some stage time at the gay club. Let's give some gay people some time at the straight club. What? Does that ever happen?
Well, you got
Ty
Rivera.
Pretty much, I would
Ty
say
Rivera,
80% of the shows that I've been on in town have had at least one gay comic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, it does happen.
Super fair.
Ty
They don't even have that many
very
women on comedy lineups. They hardly even have that many women on comedy lineups. I guess that's what I mean. There's a generation gap. There's a gender gap. There's a hetero whatever gap. There's a huge gap. And the thing that's amazing about, we'll go back to Bernie because we love Bernie, but like the Bernie movement, a lot of people said, okay, it's millennials and stuff. There's a lot of old people that love Bernie too. There's all different kind of people that love Bernie because Bernie was telling the truth. I'm just telling the truth, but nobody likes the truth. Nobody wants to hear the truth.
The only difference, the reason why Bernie
rocks people's fucking world.
My sister Hannah made a good point, and Han loved Bernie too, but she was saying that he was 2 years too late. If he would have talked 2 years ahead of what he was, he could have beat Hillary clean. Because he was saying something that had a movement, but the movement was too late. The movement needed to be ahead of and started moving quickly before it got to where it was. It should have never been what he was saying is true, but if he'd have been ahead of it at least a year to 2 years, this is her opinion, that it would have had more, it would have resonated even more, and he would have blew away Hillary.
And that's one opinion, too.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
and
everybody, but it was a good point. I mean, because I didn't think about it. I mean,
but he said everybody has an opinion. I love the movements where I see people in the streets doing things. Like you're working, you're doing stuff. I love the moderates working on the legislation, and all the other people working for the people who are going down the fucking drain because of capitalism and the beginning of the GOP party and the old people from the Democratic Party that won't change. I know you say Pelosi is one of them. I say we keep a couple of them.
She is.
We got to keep a couple people just,
You let me know who those people are. I'd be curious to hear. I mean,
Well, I'm sorry, David. I took over your whole show.
No,
so, hey.
not my show. It's our show. But no, I was just waiting to see if you were going to respond to see who those people were.
Like I said, for me, people want to talk more than they want to do something. And I want to be the person that's doing something more than talking. I know here today we're supposed to talk, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm letting you guys talk because you love it. So, and I'm just trying to stand up. I'm just trying to stand up for some of it.
This I think is a big problem. Is that it is a negative thing for any male to come at gay people and talk about gay stuff or talk about marriage, but any opportunity, and I love you.
I know you love me.
But every opportunity to point out that we are different or that there's a black man and there's all straight males here, rather than actually engaging in a conversation and trying to bridge differences, the people who, in this case, you're accusing of pointing out differences and making lesbians feel invisible.
No, lesbians are invisible. And they're getting more invisible.
And of course, women never cut anyone off.
Women do that to each other too. Oh, you mean cut? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
No, no.
I thought we were talking now.
We are.
I thought we were having a conversation now.
We
I'm
are.
sorry. I'll be quiet again. I'll go back to being quiet. Go ahead.
See, this is the bullshit that I'm trying to talk about. Is that it is more important for some people to try and stoke that division while complaining that there's no unity. And again, I'm not saying this is an attack on you. I'm not saying this is a problem of yours, but this is a problem with so many people that it, rather than actually talking about the issues and saying, I am made to feel different sometimes because of who I am. You would much rather not you being the people that do this, would much rather keep pointing out the differences. You try and have try and find a middle ground. You try and build those bridges that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, no, but
you can't build the bridges when the person who you're trying to build the bridge to keeps talking about, well, you're on the other side of the stream. How are we ever going to have a bridge if you're on the other side of the stream? Well, if we built this bridge, but you're over there. And I think a big part of the problem, and it comes around to this whole conversation, is that rather than looking at the problems that we're facing now as a result of the last election, people are still trying to litigate the last election. You know what? It's fucking over. The Democrats lost. The country's in a shit pile because of it. But people still want to keep talking about life before the shit pile. Why don't we try and make a life after the shit pile by getting rid of it instead of talking it? And I understand it is important to understand how we got to where we are, but arguing over the minutia of something that's already decided is not the way to do it. Recognizing the mistakes of the past, learning from them, and moving forward based on what you've learned, that's the way to do it. To simply say everything happens for a reason is not good enough. You got to figure out what that reason is. The one thing that the Republicans have definitely been doing, and you see it on healthcare, God forbid we'll find out what's wrong with bringing up healthcare, but for 7 years, the Republicans bitched about Obamacare and said this is horrible, and they didn't do shit to come up with a better plan. And they haven't done it in the last 6 months either. And bitching about Obamacare is not going to fix it. There are a lot of people that are really good at identifying problems. I mean, we have a political show where 4 comedians get into a room every Saturday.
This is a comedy
and
show,
bitch
David?
about politics.
Where's the funny part?
I don't know.
Well, and
Maybe we'll get there.
the thing with the healthcare situation, like you're right. They had 7 years to fix it, and they've come up with no plan. They also know that if they've never went after the insurance companies in this situation. They never went after the people, because they say, the premiums are constantly going up. But why aren't we regulating the insurance companies who are jacking up the premiums, who are putting it, because even if the plan that they even came up with, 32 million people would lose their insurance. Mm-hmm. So why?
I want to cut out the.
Why can't we come up with? I mean, and this being this so-called superpower, we're constantly coming up with all this new technology and everything. But no one. You see the commercials. I said, but who's going to get all this new technology that you keep talking about?
Well, you know what? Something David said, like, let's move on. Like, let's deal with the shit pile.
Right.
Part of that also involves recognizing that, we have a big shit pile right now.
Uh-huh.
The toilet started getting clogged a long time ago.
Okay.
The toilet's been clogged since 1980,
right.
Maybe even a little bit before,
right.
And now it just happened to fucking explode.
Right.
How do we have the healthcare plan that we have now? The healthcare quote unquote bill, which is an anti-healthcare bill. It's straight up Orwellian.
Right.
12% of people like it. 12%
right.
of people like it.
Well, by Trump standards, that's a majority.
Right.
It takes insurance away from millions.
Right.
How do we do that? Well, maybe part of the problem is we passed Mitt Romney's healthcare plan that, yes, was a step in a better direction compared to the shit show we had.
Right.
It was a step in a better
premiums
direction.
were going up before we got the Mitt Romney
Oh, yeah,
plan.
that had nothing to do with that.
Right.
But then when Obama floundered on the public option, we wouldn't even be in this situation if we had